and the budget determined for this specific RFA. 2 awards will be made for collaborative applications that have an organizational partnership, and there will be 3 awards to single applicants for individual organizations. There is no one organization that can solve gun violence alone. There is no one proposal, but we know that together the impact is greater. We look forward to your creative and responsive submissions. In closure, I am pleased to share that Mayor Bowser has demonstrated her long-term commitment to gun violence prevention by launching a permanent Office of Gun Violence Prevention with 100% dedicated staff within the Office of the City Administrator. The launch of this office is a demonstration in the Mayor's commitment to placing responsibility for gun violence reduction efforts at the very top levels of the city's government. The Office of Gun Violence Prevention will continue the work of coordinating our city services, partnering with our sister agencies and community stakeholders to increase the power of our collective, to quell violence and to save lives. Thank you very much. I want to take a moment just to thank the Building Museum, Everytown, and Moms Demand Action for their support of this event today. This was a labor of love, and I really do appreciate everyone who came out today and all of the support that we've received in this effort. The Building Blocks team and the Office of Gun Violence Prevention team will be taking a tour of the exhibit, and Moms Demand Action has generously offered to help to guide us through the tour. So I want to thank everyone for coming out today, and I look forward to seeing the exhibit. I'm open for questions.
I can ask a question?
Not yet.
No.
I want to bring to the microphone before you go, Sam. I want to bring to the microphone Keenan James from Everytown. Thank you, Mr. James.
Good morning. You've heard the statistic that every day over 100 Americans are shot and killed. And those individuals who are shot and killed represent fathers and daughters, mothers, sisters, brothers who are left in our communities to grieve. I am one of those. My brother, Sean, was killed July 15, 1993 in Tacoma Park, Maryland. So today I take that moment. That moment becomes my microphone and a platform to support gun violence survivors.
He started as a patrol officer in the 3rd District, then as a sergeant in the 2nd District and Metropolitan Police Academy. As a lieutenant, he served as the Patrol Services Area Leader in the 2nd District, Regional Operations Command East, and led the Intelligence Branch. He was promoted to captain, responsible for leading the Violent Crimes Branch, including the Homicide Branch and Sexual Assault Unit. Chief Contee received several promotions during his tenure, serving as commander of the 2nd District, 6th District, and 1st District. He was appointed Assistant Chief of MPD's Professional Development Bureau, overseeing the Human Resources Management Division, Disciplinary Review Division, the Metropolitan Police Academy, and Recruiting Division. He was named Patrol Chief of Patrol Services South, PSS, that included his oversight of the 1st, 6th, and 7th police districts. He was then named Assistant Chief of the Investigative Services Bureau, the ISB, working with community to solve crimes, bring offenders to justice, support recovery of victims, and protect witnesses. This included several divisions that were integral to supporting community safety. These divisions are the Criminal Investigations Division, CID, which includes the Homicide Branch and Sex Assault Unit, the Narcotics and Special Investigations Division, NSID, that provides proactive criminal enforcement services so that citizens can live in neighborhoods free from drug dealing, drug-related crime, and prostitution. The Crime Scene Investigations Division, Youth and Family Services Division, and lastly, the School Safety Division. Chief Contee grew up in the Carver Terrace community in Northeast DC and is a DC public school graduate. He holds a bachelor's degree in professional studies with a concentration in police science from George Washington University. He has also completed the Management College at the Institute for Law Enforcement Administration and Senior Management Institute for Police, SMIP. Of the Police Executive Research Forum in Boston, Massachusetts. I present to you our beloved Chief Robert Contee III.
Well, thank you, Tia. Thank you for that. This is my first time meeting her in person. And I just want to tell you in person, I am so proud of you. I think the first time we met, it was on Zoom. And you were talking about the Trigger Project, and I just remember just being so overwhelmingly proud. You're a lot taller in person than you are on Zoom. How about that?
You are too.
But really, this is it really is an honor, and I wasn't really expecting to be recognized today. The purpose of this, in my mind, really is to really focus on so many other of the law enforcement people, first responders, who go out every day and just do tremendous work in community. Is really me having the platform to be able to set the stage and connect with people like Reverend Motley. I want to thank Reverend Motley for being open to so many different things with respect to how we build up communities and how we build up the police officers and first responders that work in the communities that they serve in. And I think this, in my mind, is really a culmination of bringing those things together, where we get an opportunity to highlight some of the work that our public safety professionals are doing out in the community each and every day to make our community safer. So I won't be up here long. I'm going to take my seat. Reverend already did his part. I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Reverend Martley, from the bottom of my heart, and I look forward to continued community collaboration. And lastly, I would say to my partner here at the DC Police Foundation, Pat Burke, thank you, Pat, for just the support that you guys give to the Metropolitan Police Department day in and day out. It's not a thing that we ask of these guys that they're not willing to do, to bend over backwards to make sure that our officers have the things that they need. And sometimes by going through the DC Police Foundation, it's just, it's whatever, what do you guys need? And these guys are willing to make it happen. And that doesn't happen everywhere. So we're blessed to have you, blessed that you are will always be a member of the Metropolitan Police Department, but I'm also happy to call you my friend. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chief. And I'll ask you to join us up here for a picture.
Okay.
Chief, congratulations.
I'll hold it for you.
Let's get the Reverend up here. Come on, Reverend.
Come on, man. You didn't want to stand by me?
I did. You make me look like a midget.
Nobody wants to stand next to her, Pastor.
All my life.
Thanks again, Chief. Thanks for hosting
I
us.
will. I'm much shorter in person. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief, for hosting us once again, and congratulations. Our next honors award recipient is a posthumous award for our public safety Black history maker, and that's Chief Bertell M. Jefferson, who was the chief of the Metropolitan Police Department from January of 1978 to June 1981. Bertell M. Jefferson, a native Washingtonian and U.S. Army veteran, joined the Metropolitan Police Department in 1948 when only a handful of Black officers were on the job. The department was still segregated in some fashion then, with patrol car assignments and desirable beats being given to white officers, while Black officers were relegated to certain beats in certain areas. Patrolman Jefferson started in the 9th Precinct, but by 1950 became a detective and worked in several different investigative units to include the Robbery Squad and Morals Division. He made Detective Sergeant in 1963 and thus began a rise to the top. He was a very community-minded person and, like his predecessors, was educated at American University, attended the FBI National Academy and the Howard University School of Engineering. Chief Jefferson initiated the new rank of Master Patrol Officer and worked toward better community relations. He was chief during the farmers' demonstrations when the city was gridlocked by angry farmers protesting in their tractors. His tenure saw a reduction in crime, but he had to contend with restrictions due to the energy crisis, constant threats of personnel cuts, and with outspoken dissension of some of his detectives against their commander. Chief Jefferson was responsible for numerous publications and has been recognized by countless national, local, and private leaders for his contributions to the betterment of the city. After serving 33 years, Chief Jefferson retired in 1981 and passed away in 2021. To receive the award on behalf of the late Police Chief Bertell Jefferson, who passed away last year at the age of 96, is his widow, Miss Joan Jefferson. She is live streaming this event with her family today, and thank you, Mrs. Jefferson, for your sacrifices and your family and for being with us today.
I'd like to say on behalf of Mrs. Joan Jefferson, who wished she could have been here, she wants to express her extreme gratitude for her husband, Bertell Jefferson, who was the first Black chief of police. And she wants to say thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Chaplain, and we'll stand up for a quick picture. Thank you for being here to accept this award on behalf of Chief Jefferson. So thank you. Congratulations, and good to see you, my friend. And then stay with us. Sure. Manuel.
Is this for her too?
Next, we will honor Chaplain Manuel Rivera. Reverend Rivera was educated in the District of Columbia school system. Upon graduating from Bell Vocational High School in June of 1971, he became a police cadet with the Metropolitan Police Department at the age of 19 years old. In October of 1971, he aged out as a cadet and had to resign or become a sworn police officer. On November 1st of 1971, Reverend Rivera was sworn in as a police officer. Upon graduating from the police academy, he was assigned to the 6th precinct as a patrol officer. On June 22nd, 1974, Reverend Rivera became a born-again Christian. Because many of his fellow officers saw the change in Reverend Rivera, they began seeking him for counseling and spiritual advice. Realizing he needed training, Reverend Rivera resigned from the police department and enrolled in Lynchburg Baptist College, located in Lynchburg, Virginia, later becoming Liberty University. Upon graduating and being ordained, Reverend Rivera was reinstated, returning to the police department in 1979. He was again assigned to the 4th District, formerly the 6th Precinct. In 1985, Reverend was promoted to sergeant and assigned to the 1st District and later Special Operations Division, Emergency Response Team, as a tactical sergeant responding to hostage and barricade situations. In 1989, again the year I was born, Chief Isaac Fullwood appointed Reverend Rivera as the first sworn police officer in history of the department as a police chaplain. Reverend Rivera was also the first person of color and Hispanic descent to hold this position. Reverend continued to patrol and protect the citizens of our city and received the Bronze Medal of Valor for pulling a wounded citizen to safety performing CPR while under gunfire. Reverend Rivera has received many letters of accommodation and award. He retired as a sergeant from the Metropolitan Police Department, but continued to serve as police chaplain. He became a federal police officer, retiring as a lieutenant. He has served as chaplain for the Metropolitan Police Department, the Prince George's County Police Department, and Association of Retired Police. He is also co-pastor at Woodstream Church located in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. I present Reverend Rivera.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Again, I want to thank you for this honor. I'm excited. I recall when the Lord first called me to become a chaplain with the department, I realized that our officers who also suffer from PTSD in regards to the trauma and all the horrific crimes they responded to, and I was able to minister to them and continue to minister. I am so grateful, and again, thank you, and God bless you.
Our next honors award recipient, Public Safety Black History Maker, is Chaplain Edward N. Cole. Reverend Cole was born and raised in Southwest Washington, D.C. Growing up in D.C. gave him the opportunity to be part of the Metropolitan Police Boys and Girls Club, which had a great impact on his life. He owned and operated Cole Cable Television Incorporated, the first minority installation company in the District of Columbia. He began his ministry at St. John's Baptist Church in Arlington, Virginia, serving as a youth minister. He received his license to preach the gospel in 1997 and received his certificate of ordination in 2001. Reverend Cole's career includes working for Youth Services Administration as chaplain for Oak Hill Juvenile Detention Center. While serving in this capacity, he organized many community programs to include family picnics, parents exchange, soapbox derby participation, as well as job training. He was certified to participate in the Clergy Police Ride-Along program with the Metropolitan Police Department. Reverend Cole also served on the board of directors for East of the River Clergy Police Partnership, the Council of Churches of Greater Washington and Vicinity, and the Metropolitan Police Boys and Girls Club. He later worked for DC Department of Corrections as head chaplain, where he continued with community and religious services until he retired. He's been married for 38 years to his wife, Doreen, and we recognize the contributions, once again, of Chaplain Edward N. Cole.
I'm grateful to honor Mr. Rufus Catfish Mayfield. I start with a quote. When no one else would stand, he did. Known as a civil rights activist and community organizer for the past 50+ years, I repeat, known as a civil rights activist and community organizer for the past 50+ years, Rufus Catfish Mayfield, a DC resident, was catapulted into the spotlight on May 1st, 1967, when he witnessed a cold-blooded and senseless murder of his friend who was shot in the back by a police officer. In an attempt to indict the officer, he garnered the assistance of Ruth Bates Harris, who at the time was the head of the Commission on Human Rights. While coordinating numerous protests to get the officer indicted, Mayfield caught the eye of Marion Barry Jr., who asked if he could assist him. That union resulted in the launching, later in 1967, of Pride Incorporated, one of the country's most successful training and employment programs for our Black youth. After a brief stint at George Washington University, Catfish worked with Common Cause to help ratify the 18-year-old vote. He also testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee on the anti-riot bill. With the help of Jerry Brenner from CBS, he wrote articles on the plight of Blacks through a syndicated column entitled Voice from the Ghetto. Articles which appeared in prestigious periodicals. He also hosted a program on WOOK AM radio, Catfish is Here, featuring current events and interviewing numerous civil rights activists, entertainers, and politicians. Mayfield's photo and oral history interview has been featured at the Smithsonian Museum in DC. In 1985, Mayfield began his tenure in the mayor's office through the Department of Human Services. One of his major accomplishments was his creation of DHS's Community Services Division, where he led his staff in providing resources and events to promote the mission of DHS. He also created and coordinated a DHS faith-based partnership and served as a task force unit assigned to the Youth Services Administration, YSA. He also served as acting administrator of YSA. In 2007, Mayfield retired as chief of DHS's Community Services Division. After his retirement, Mayfield founded Destiny Pride Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit continuum care organization that collaborates with community providers, governmental agencies, and other stakeholders to connect services and resources that promote the social welfare of our children, youth, and families. As a member of Mount Carmel Baptist Church, Mayfield is a Sunday school teacher, and he also collaborates with the DC Alliance Pastoral Care Chaplaincy Program, DCAEHSABCD. Just kidding. To bring words of enlightenment and encouragement at the Carol Maynard Nursing and Rehabilitation Center located in DC. Wow. Mayfield's main objective at this stage of his life is to die on the battlefield as he continues to find ways to connect and make DC and this world a better place for us all. I present Rufus Catfish Mayfield. Incredible.
Thanks, and can I ask Chief Contee to join us for this presentation as well? You're gonna have to ask the guy behind you.
Come on, Venus. You are amazing. Yeah.
Right in here, start. And I'll let the chief present us. Thank you. Really? I was wondering who helped you through. Congratulations. All work that you've done over the years.
afternoon. Truly, I was kind of caught by surprise. You know, with this, I didn't fully understand what I was getting into. Sam and them called me, and I thought that it was because of the fact that maybe I didn't pay traffic, something that I was going to go through. But it's been one heck of a journey. Never will I forget May the 1st, 1967 on Minneapolis and Benning Road, that my life just took a change when this police officer over 29-cent box of chocolate chip cookies that was stolen out of the store. And they got into just a pushing matter. And the next thing I know, that Officer Rohr, as Bug Clarence Booker was running, and shot him in the back. It still resonates to me to this day. The reason I feel some sense of guilt, I did not come to prominence because I found the cure to cancer or something like that. Came because of the death of a friend. And the next day or 2 days later, somebody rang my doorbell and it was Marion Barry. And he said that he heard about the situation and what could he do. And because of the fact that I grew up in the projects, but they were hard-working parents, that their children would never, ever have to experience what they experienced. And so out of that, I always had that resonated within me. And so when my doorbell rang, Marion called and said, how? And then I came to tell, but I was kind of bad juvenile for stealing cars. And that I always wind up the youth center and other juvenile facility. But what it did when I got out was that it gave me an understanding of what happens to individuals when they get incarcerated. And it has a chance to just change your whole body. And a lot of times individuals cannot just turn it off. But when I got out, and when Bug got killed, that's his name, and then Marion rang the doorbell, how can he help? And then we started one of the successful. And then when the federal government called us in, because they gave us a $300,000 grant. But then when they came in and said, we had no intention to go beyond what we gave you. But what we were able to achieve, one of the successful programs, you had us. You had us. And we started getting millions. And I'm gonna just fast forward. Now, when I retired from DC government, I started Destiny Pride. Why did I do that? Because I still have a sense of guilt within me that I came to prominence because of the fact of the death of a friend, not because I found the cure for cancer or something like that. So my life is trapped. So when I started Destiny Pride, I deal with some of the opiate patients, the returning citizen, because this is my give back. I ride my bike. I used to jog all the time, but can't do that much. But I ride a bike every morning. And I come up on I live over by, over in East Capitol Way, and I come down 19th Street, you know, and I come to 8th Street every morning, and the police be out there a lot of times. They be hollering to me, "Catfish, be safe out here. Be safe out here." And when I get on 8th Street, you would think, my God, I just feel so comfortable that these individuals think this much of me when I come riding past. And just recently, a day before yesterday on Pennsylvania Avenue, and what I see, these individuals laying on the grate, that's where they're home, that's where they get the heat from. And this particular person that I got, it was a police officer just coming down. This is around about a day or so ago. And I think his name, he said, "I'm Officer Chin." And he helped me with this person that we were wrestling with. What we see out here, no one should see what is going on. And so in turn, that's my give back. How do I get out of a world that I did not come to prominence before, like I said, because of cure for cancer? I just made a stand. And what I submit to all, that the police is not your enemy. He is not. The way this officer came in to help me just mitigate this individual. And a lot of times I have to stop and call the ambulance for the individuals. And sometimes I cannot just leave. I have to stay there until they put that person into the ambulance. I'm sorry, sometimes they don't even pick them up. They don't even pick them up. But certain things just cannot go on my watch. I tell the wife that I just want to stay on the battlefield for the Lord because of the simple fact that I feel trapped. And what happened to my friend? It would be some different if I found the cure for cancer, like I said, or something like that. I came to prominence. And so when I started the other portion, I really am appreciative of the police that's up there when I come riding through. My God, on 8th Street. They be hollering at me. I say, "Catfish, whatever you do, be safe out there. Be safe out there." And I just feel that these are the individuals that really are concerned about individuals. And so as I began to exit out of this life, I started a program of Destiny Pride. Okay, she said, that wasn't nice. But I'm saying, that's me. That's my walk. And so I am so proud of what, I have achieved, and what the chief and others have. But again, I'm just so thankful. I am so thankful for what you're doing today. And I'm just glad to be among you and others that are doing so much in this town, especially the police.
Thanks so much, Catfish, for those remarks and your service as well. Our next honors award recipient is Sam Foster. The story of Sam Foster began in Northwest DC in 1939. He attended school in Washington, DC, attending Bundy Elementary, Garnett Patterson, and Langley. As a young man growing up and coming of age, Sam enlisted in the United States Army Reserve, where he received his GED at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. One day in October 1973, after 23 years of being afflicted by alcoholism, he decided he was tired of drinking and felt his life had no meaning whatsoever. He fell on his knees and asked the dear Lord to help him. His life began to change. On June 5th, 1979, with 6 other recovering alcoholics, he met to discuss the possibilities of establishing an organization for the purpose of lobbying for improved treatment of alcoholics in the treatment programs and structured halfway houses. Many people tried to discourage him about opening an alcoholic program because of his lack of education, but his family, including his late wife Nona, sat down with him one day and told him to go ahead with his plans and that they'd give him all the support that they could offer. In 1981, the ideas, plans, and work had culminated into what became known as Concerned Citizens on Alcohol and Drug Abuse Incorporated. For more than 30 years, CCADA worked to help thousands of people to survive the drug epidemics of heroin, crack, PCP, and alcohol, and guide them to having a productive and meaningful life. So at this point, I'd like to recognize Sam Foster. Thank you for your efforts and congratulations on this award. Congratulations. Thank you for your...
Gotta say cheese.
Yeah.
So your heart, oh, one word.
I just want to say just a couple of words. I want to thank Rufus Mayfield, Brett Motley, so many people that supported me, Maurice Turner. I can go on and on and on. I met Chief Contee as he was coming in. He wasn't a rookie, but he was a good officer. But anyway, I want to thank my daughter, my son. I guess that's about enough. Thank you for recognizing the work that we have done. Bless you all.
So much beautiful leadership. All right, in light of her love and leadership that have both impacted my work and my spirit, I'm blessed to present next the Public Safety Black History Maker, Sondra S.S. Seegers. Ms. Sondra S.S. Seegers is a Congress Heights resident. She graduated from Ballou Senior High School and attended the U.S. Agriculture Graduate School, 7th District Citizen Academy, and the Howard University. She is a paralegal and a long-time citywide community and civic activist. Ms. SS is a member of the Anacostia Coordinating Council, ACC, a convener of the Concerned Residents Against Violence, CRAVE, co-organizer of the East of the River Public Safety Consortium, team member of the Jobs Not Guns Recruitment Fair, co-sponsor of the Clarence J. Venable Violence Intervention Act, Prevention Workers Protection Act of 2020, a supporter of the Metropolitan Police Department, Officer Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, Office of the Attorney General, the Cure the Streets Project, the Mayor's Building Blocks DC, founder of the Ward 8 Council Against Domestic Violence, as well as an advisor to the Trigger Project. Ms. SS is a former advisory neighborhood commissioner, executive member of Ward 8 Democrats Incorporated, and is a certified private investigator. I present to you the strong, the almighty SS.
Thanks, Tia. And our last honors award recipient today is Derek Butler. Derek Butler was born on January 15th, 1963. He was one of 5 children, the only son of John and Thelma Butler. He was raised in Southwest Washington, D.C. Derek was a graduate of Frank W. Ballou High School in Southeast D.C. He graduated from Lincoln Technical Institute in 1981, where he earned a diploma in auto mechanics terminology. Derek is also a certified master mechanic through the ASE Automotive Service of Excellence accreditation program. Derek has renewed membership through testing every 4 years and maintained ASE certification for more than 35 years. Derek returned to Ballou High School as alma mater, where he has 32 years of dedicated service as an auto mechanics teacher. During his tenure at Ballou, Derek received the Teacher of the Year Award from DC Public Schools and many other awards over the years. He's now retired from DC Public Schools. Due to unfortunate circumstances, Derek and his family had to face the challenge of bringing to justice the murderer of his sister, Pamela J. Butler. Derek's journey for justice for Pam lasted 8 years. It was an uphill battle. This life-altering ordeal led to Derek being contacted by the Black and Missing Foundation, who offered their resources. Derek is currently a member on the board of Black and Missing Foundation and is active in helping others finding their missing loved ones. So congratulations and thank you to Derek Butler.
So before we transition into our second segment, I just want to give everybody a chance at home here to again celebrate our leaders and recipients, celebrate yourselves, because the common theme that I was able to receive while hearing everyone speak and while presenting was that we were introduced to this club of preserving life, protecting and serving others, not really by choice. So if we can just take this moment, take a deep breath and celebrate at the best of our ability all of the success in the lives, the heartbeats we've been able to preserve, protect, and serve. Told you I was a cheerleader, thank you. Now we will transition into our second series of awards, the appreciation of Public Safety Black History Maker organizations. We first start with the East of the River Public Safety Consortium. The East of the River Public Safety Consortium is a group of nonprofit community-based leaders and entrepreneurs coming together in the spirit of collaboration, located east of the river in wards 7 and 8 in the District of Columbia, providing a variety of anti-violence programs, strategies, resources, and services. Utilizing their creative genius and networking partnerships, expecting to produce results, working together to perform at a high level of cooperation aimed at maintaining organizational independence, aligning programs, administrative functions, and complementary strategies, all directed at reducing and eliminating violence in our city. First Friday at the IHOP. First Fridays at the IHOP started in October of 2018 to engage all leaders in our community, from the civic leader, clergy, ANC, and politicians. Our breakfast is a good example of unity, especially in the face of racial, healthcare, economic, educational, and cultural disparities. It's also a good example of how we can come together and address these challenges. First Fridays. Next, we have the 7th District Citizens Advisory Council. 7D Citizens Advisory Council, established in 1979 to plan and implement programs to develop neighborhood commitment for resolving crime problems affecting citizens and businesses in the 7th District, supporting and addressing community needs which affect enforcement and maintenance of peace in our community. Anacostia Coordinating Council, woohoo! The ACC, which has spent 30 years committed to empowering our neighbors and transforming our neighborhoods for the better. Business Tech by Sunzeo, established to assist organizations and companies with computer and communications technology designed to develop programs, networking, which will benefit those who desire or need access to computer technology in multiple platforms and operating systems. Concerned Residents Against Violence, CRAVE, started in 2018. We will monitor the efforts of all agencies and organizations who work in the communities, who work to eliminate violence and associated behaviors. We will use its resources to research, analyze, and report the results of CRAVE's findings to the government and the private sector. We will make recommendations to address its findings to the broader community.
Thanks, Tia. And continuing with our appreciation awards, we have WTLS Radio, located in Washington, D.C. It's the brainstorm of Lee, Mr. Music Man Sturdivant, who grew up in D.C. He received a degree in music and taught vocals and percussion in the school system. He later went on to form an a cappella group, Just Us, that was profiled on Channel 4 News in D.C. and won an amateur night at the Apollo in New York. Darrell Hairston II Crime Prevention Foundation. The Darrell Allen Hairston Crime Victim Foundation started in 2017 after his son was murdered in a restaurant. Darrell started a foundation in his son's honor to locate and distribute resources, food, clothing, supplies, and coats to the hard-to-reach residents east of the river and in Prince George's County. District Influencers, LLC, established in Southeast Washington, D.C., is a community engagement, communications consulting firm committed to providing exceptional support that helps mission-driven clients achieve lasting results. And domestic violence wears many tags. DVWMT, which started in 2008 and is based in Southeast DC. It's a local nonprofit serving as an educational and resource center for victims and abusers of domestic violence by breaking the cycle and teaching proactive methods of prevention.
They say prevention is the absence of disease. So this is true testament of collaboration. Next, we have Don't Mute DC. Is a collective of cultural activists working tirelessly to amplify the voices of marginalized and displaced Washingtonians. Thus, Julian Broomfield, the Ronald Moten, and Dr. Natalie Hopkinson created the Don't Mute DC hashtag in 2019 and gave birth to the movement. Don't Mute My Health, Parent Watch Incorporated. Don't Mute My Health began in June 2019 as a grassroots movement in DC to reclaim community health from outside influences and interests. Hashtag Don't Mute My Health is about equitable access to healthier lives. The Eagles Nest Youth Association was created in 2006, providing support, services, and opportunities through sport in its earliest conception to becoming a catalyst for change. East of the River Clergy Police Community Partners Incorporated was started in 1999 to assist individuals and communities east of the river who need positive transformation through community-based and re-entering focused programming. Family Friends of Incarcerated People is an organization whose primary mission is to foster community support that effectively meets the needs of today's at-risk children and families of those incarcerated.
Thanks, Tia, and continuing with our appreciation awards. And once again, it's great to know there's so many people doing so many good things to help our communities. The Far Southeast Family Strengthening Collaborative Incorporated. This is an independent nonprofit 501c3 organization established to enhance the stabilization, empowerment, and personal development of children and families who are residents of Ward 8. Hands Up, Guns Down. Kingdom Life Outreach Center Ministries, Hands Up, Guns Down. The church's sole purpose is to help train and develop people to become positive and productive citizens in their community by offering outreach programs such as literacy, spiritual awareness, and support groups. Inner Thoughts Incorporated, established in 1981 in a 501c3 strategic planning, coordination, and implementation organization, also develops and programs all who are aimed at finding community-based solutions to the many social detriments challenging our residents. Just Swag TV LLC, a Black media outlet with locations in Washington, D.C. and Atlanta, Georgia, providing a television and video landing space for independent artists, giving them a voice on multiple platforms. And Let's Talk with CJ, which started in 2018 as a radio program featuring a retired police officer who talks with the community on all levels, trying to find ways to reduce violence and create better police and community relations.
Thanks, Pat. The Washington, D.C. Police Foundation works to provide resources for the Metropolitan Police Department in support of their mission to make D.C. a safer place to live, work, and visit. The National Association of Minority Contractors, Washington, D.C. Metro Area Chapter, works with governments, agencies, and construction professionals to develop and implement programs and services to enhance the competitive viability of minority and women-owned businesses in D.C. New Reflections Incorporated. After the death of her son, Robert Rara, the co-founder of New Reflections created an organization to provide social, economical, community development programs and strategies for youth, fathers, and families. The Center for Social Justice. Mission is action through a full range of charitable, educational, human services, religious, and community activities. to help people realize their God-given potential by making them essential in their families and communities. The Center for Racial Equity and Justice was created to establish a centralized institution to organize the Black community for action, to provide leadership in eradicating racial injustice in all forms of government, business, and local community.
Thanks, Tia. The Gerald Project provides mentorship, scholarship opportunities, and trauma support for young people located east of the river and beyond. The Trigger Project is preventing interpersonal gun violence through youth development and socio-emotional learning, focusing on changing the norm and the narrative of gun violence in communities of color by telling untold stories of everyday gun violence user to all walks of life. The Ward 8 Council of Domestic Violence, whose mission is to bring awareness to domestic violence and to assist individuals, families, and organizations who have been impacted by domestic violence. They sponsored annual domestic violence walkathons in the month of October to raise money to support family members, victims through their organization. We Act Radio. As a mission-driven business, We Act Radio is dedicated to amplifying and raising up the stories and voices of those historically excluded from the media. We Fit DC, which aims to close the health and wellness gap among the district and shine light on native DMV wellness professionals.
Thanks, Pat. I appreciate the extra sauce on the shout out. You know, in June of last year, under Reverend Motley's prayer, I was called to pull the city together and start the inaugural End Gun Violence Citywide Conference. And all of the organizations we have mentioned, and I still have a few left, this is a shameless plug, but we're represented, whether exactly being there or over Zoom or in person or through a coalition that they fall under. And I just want to say, you know, in spirit of preventing gun violence and again, preserving the life and the spirit and culture of our city, we have the answers right here already. And I just felt the need to say that because sometimes when we do lose our loved one, we do watch our friend take their last breath, we do see our mom in the hospital and can't move, we feel hopeless. And every single word that Chief Pat and I have shared today, I hope brings hope in the spirit of collaboration. I want to end with the presentation of Parent Watch Incorporated. For 30 years, Parent Watch Incorporated has empowered underserved district parents, youth, and families as they seek justice and equity from local agencies that are a part of local systems of care. We are a family-run organization to achieve positive goals, a program which builds upon trust and accountability, and as Marjo says, integrity. Retirees for Accountability. Retirees for Accountability first came together in 1989 and sponsored the first midnight basketball in the city geared towards high-risk youth and Knock at Midnight, high-risk and at-risk children's initiative, east of the river. This is a group of retired military veterans, police, government officials, entrepreneurs, and clergy, providing advice, guidance, and support to those individuals, programs, and organizations who are tackling the problems of violence, homicide, education, housing, poverty, and crime. In 2018, this group gave birth to the first Fridays at the IHOP in place of meetings and breaking bread for the purpose of discussing matters of concern regarding violence and public safety. Welcome back, Ms. Rosalind Stiles. Oh, no, okay, two more to go through, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Tia. And our last group of awardees is our special mention public safety trend centers. None of what we do in our city would be possible without the support of our friends and colleagues, all of whom are providing their own version of public safety initiatives aimed at helping to address the violence and public safety needs of our city. Thus, we honor their presence with a special mention Public Safety Trendsetters Certificate of Appreciation. Our first awardee is Alliance of Concerned Men, a 501c3 community-based organization that provides outreach, prevention, intervention, social services, cultural enrichment, and recreational activities for low-income, at-risk youths and families within DC. Busboys and Poets, which is a community restaurant where racial and cultural connections are consciously uplifted. A place to take a deliberate pause and feed your mind, body, and soul. A space for art, culture, and politics to intentionally collide. We believe that by creating such a space, they can inspire social change and begin to transform our community and the world. Ceasefire, Don't Smoke the Brothers and Sisters is a youth development program of Ceasefire, Don't Smoke the Brothers and Sisters Incorporated, a nonprofit charitable organization committed to the positive development of all youth and ex-prisoners in conjunction with American Inc. and the DC Government Office of Youth and Family Services. Father Factor, established in 2004, Father Factor Incorporated is one of the district's premier fatherhood, parenting training, substance abuse, and violence prevention initiatives. Father Factor Inc. provides counseling, education, referral, and training services for the entire family.
Peace Walk DC is a broad coalition of gun violence survivors, churches, nonprofits, and activists working toward ending gun violence and violence throughout the DMV. Training Grounds is a nonprofit organization established in 2005. Its mission is to assist youth and adults with personal, career, and leadership development through various trainings, programs, and collaborations committed to preparing economically disadvantaged individuals for living wage careers and self-sufficiency. Now I honor our sponsors. Imani Catering has been cooking great food for over 30 years, serving the DMV with an Afro Soul menu that will make your mouth water. All of it is made from scratch, high quality, fresh, unprocessed ingredients, sharing the different cultures through food. Red Brick Development Group specializes in the development of mixed-use and residential infill communities, adding value in the municipal entitlement process, utilizing innovative capital structures, and overseeing the construction and lease up of new developments. Since 2000, the team members have completed deals valued at over $500 million in a variety of major markets, including Washington, D.C. The Washington, D.C. Police Foundation works to provide resources for the Metropolitan Police Department in support of their mission to make D.C. a safer place to live, work, and visit. The National Association of Minority Contractors, led by Rosalind Stiles, our beloved president. The chapter works with the federal and local government agencies, construction professionals, and communities to implement programs and services to expand the inclusion of minority and women-owned businesses in Washington, D.C. Its slogan, Commitment to Diversity, depicts its desire for local business and residents to benefit from the redevelopment of their neighborhoods.
Thanks so much, Tia. And before we close out, I just want to quickly acknowledge everybody who helped to bring this together today, our planning committee, Rebecca Schwartz with the DC Police Foundation, Rosalind Stiles, National Association of Minority Contractors, Washington, DC chapter, Pastor David Venable, who I'll invite up in just a second to give our closing prayer, Paul Weiss of the Metropolitan Police Department, and Commander Convoy and all your team for supporting our efforts today, Lamont Mitchell, Imani Catering, and members from the East of the River Public Safety Consortium. And I know we wouldn't put his name on here, but he's kind of ran the show was Reverend Motley. Very humble, but thank you for all that you've done. And Pastor Venable, I'd like you to bring you back up to the stage for our closing and benediction. Rosalind?
I want to thank everybody for your participation here today. This has definitely been a labor of love. Again, Reverend Motley, he can draft you by persuasion to assist, but it's not a hard persuasion. And I personally want to thank the members of the planning committee, but also to remind you about Jobs Not Guns. We are the advocates as organizations, collective organizations, to address gun violence. And anything that you could do to help us to decrease the violence in our city, we are open for your suggestions and for your participation. So with that being said, I call our dear pastor to the podium to close us out with prayer. And thank you all for your participation.
On behalf of all those who have participated in today's program, from the awardees, family and friends, to the chief who had to step out, could we give a hand praise for the chief? His staff, for whom this would not have been possible. We thank our sponsors, Red Brick, the National Association of Minority Contractors, DC Chapter, the Washington, DC Police Foundation, Imani Catering. Is that outside?
That's outside.
Food is outside. It looked good. I was tempted now.
It is good.
You know, the preachers now. I was like, Imani Catering and members from the East of the River Public Safety Consortium. I should have my glasses on. And a special thank you to Rosalind Stiles for all that you've done. Thank you. It's always a pleasure being your presence. Rebecca Swartz, without you, the two of you, we could not have gotten this done. Thank you everyone for helping us to celebrate public safety, Black history makers in 2022. Looking forward to seeing you again next year. We want to thank our co-master and mistress of ceremony, my girl, Tia Bell. I had an issue with Tia Bell in high school. She played for H.D. Woodson and was killing Baloo all these years. Amen. And we do thank God for Mr. Patrick Burke, our former chief. We celebrate him. Thank you. So after saying all that, I'm going to bless the food. Stand Benedict. How about that? Our Father God, bless the food, Lord God. Bless the hands that prepare the meal. Bless it for the nourishing our body. Bless us as we leave this place and keep us covered. Now unto him who is able to keep us from falling and present us faultless before the presence of his throne. It is to the only wise God, our Savior, the glory and majesty, dominion, power, until we meet again. Amen. Amen. Let's eat. Can we go back to that?
Recording stopped.